At the time of their murder, Jose and Kitty Menendez lived with their adult sons Lyle and Eric in their Beverly Hills mansion, 722 Elm Drive. Both Elton John and Michael Jackson were previous owners of this home. On the evening of August 20th, 1989, Jose and Kitty had been eating dessert and relaxing in the den. Jose had fallen asleep on the couch, and Kitty had her head resting in his lap. Around 10 p.m., Lyle Menendez fired his shotgun in the back of his father's head, killing him instantly. The force of the shot nearly decapitated him. Kitty received several gunshots to the legs, arms, and chest, but she wasn't dead. The men had run out of ammunition. She tried to get up and slipped in her own blood. The brothers left the den to retrieve more bullets from the car and reload. They then walked up to their mother and delivered the final shot to her face as she looked up at them. One of her eyes was shot out and her nose was gone. Her teeth had been knocked out of her mouth by the impact of the blast. The brothers then shot each of their parents' kneecaps to make it look like a mob hit. In total, Jose was shot 6 times and Kitty was shot 10 times before Lyle and Eric decided to call the police. Police arrived to find Eric Menendez curled up in the fetal position. The brothers gave the alibi that they had been at a movie and then to a food festival. Police found their lies so convincing that they didn't ask them to undergo testing for gunshot residue. And just as the brothers had hoped, the execution of their parents was so brutal the police bought the mob story. The brothers even hired armored bodyguards to reinforce the mob story. When discussing the case of the Menendez brothers, there are 2 strongly opposing sides that people typically take. One side believes these men were privileged, pampered, and overly indulged. Money and image were the only things they grew up valuing. They had no sense of consequences for their actions in the real world. They killed for greed. They were extremely good liars and motivated by money. These men killed because they felt contempt for their parents for setting limits on their spending. The murders were premeditated. The other side viewed these men as victims. They were sexually abused by their father, and they were terrified of him. They were afraid their parents were planning on killing them that night after being confronted about the molestation. Eric said before his dad was going to kill him that evening, he was going to have sex with him one last time. They killed their parents in self-defense. But could there be a third option? Something that none of us know, perhaps a combination of the first 2 things. These men were privileged and greedy, and they were sexually abused. So here we begin our deep dive into the Menendez brothers. Check out part 2.